morning and welcome to another great episode of Money Truth Moments with our very own Money Whisperer, Judy Copenbarger. Good morning. How you doing?
I'm fantastic. How are you doing, Carlos? Good to see you.
Hey, you too. I'm doing great. I've been looking forward to our show. More importantly, I've been looking forward to this fantastic topic we're going to be talking about. So, folks, if you're just joining us, grab a cup of coffee, tea, whatever your morning beverage is, and sit back. Make sure you have a pen and paper ready because there's a lot of great information that Judy's going to be sharing with us today, too. And if you are new to the show, welcome, and make sure that you are following Judy at judycopenbarger.com. We'll talk about her website a little bit later and some of the resources that are available to you guys. And you might want to share this, but some of those resources, or most of the resources, are free. So keep that in mind when we talk about it, folks. All right, with that said, today we are talking about the Copenbarger method, right? We're talking about the ABCDEs, and folks have been asking, what is the ABCDEs? And what's this whole thing about the Copenbarger method, the roadmap for this new year? So, folks, there you have it. Judy's going to go into some deep dives on this, and we can talk a little bit more about it. But hey, take it away. Let's get it started because I know we have limited time. So,
Yeah. Well, I'm happy that you're all here. And I'll tell you, the simplicity is fantastic. So ABCDE, hard to remember, right? But it's just a way to remember the steps that go into the roadmap for creating this next year. How to optimize what you want to get done. So coming from a financial perspective, we want to look at first of all the A, which is assessment. So, assessing where you are, exactly where am I? What is my benchmark? Looking around, what needs to be done? Is there a gap in my finances? Is there an investment that I need to make? Is there an option I have at work, maybe for a retirement program or for insurances that I need to look into? Oh, yeah, I should have done that, right? Maybe there's a gap in your estate planning, your legacy planning. You've always thought about creating a will, but where do you start? And what about the powers of attorney and the healthcare decisions? And where do you even start with that? So the first thing is to look around and say, what do I need? And that's your assessment. That's where you start, Carlos.
and that's it. Does it really? And the other question has come up. Does it matter where in life you are when you're doing this, right? Because sometimes people think that now it's already too late for me, or this is too hard. I don't even know where I would get started. So these are some of the things, especially folks starting out, right? Like young couples,
Mhm.
kids out of college, out of college, or even some that are going into college, right? These are things that unfortunately a lot of our parents or their parents didn't really know any better, and they're kind of going on this path where it's, I don't want to say it's a path of doom, but it's in reality is they don't have the education. Nobody's really taking the time like you're doing here with us on that. So what are some things that maybe we should pay more attention when we're assessing or thinking about it?
Yeah. Well, it's just where am I now? And I think that's a good question to ask, maybe not every week, although that might be helpful if you're really a planner or you're really needing some transition in your life, you need some leverage. But I think, at the beginning of the year or even at the end of the year, planning for the next year, businesses do that. And a lot of times there's quarterly planning that happens. But I think just as a regular person, getting ready to get married right out of college, first job, starting out, launching in life, it's a very important thing. And you're already doing that. If you're in that season, you're already assessing, what do I need to do to get money? What do I need to do to pay bills or get out of debt? Right? You're already doing that. But I think in your 30s, 40s, 50s, and beyond, it's a fair question this time of year, the beginning of the year, every year, to say, what do I need? What's missing? How can I optimize my financial future? What do I need to gather with my family, right? To put in place. So assessment should happen anytime. And I think frequently as we go along. That's just really good planning.
Excellent. No, and I appreciate you sharing that. So, folks, again, make sure that you are taking some notes. We've just covered a assessment on there when you're planning all of this. And before we move on to be on here, what are some maybe things that we need to look at? We always talked about the 4 H's, right? But
Mhm.
maybe you can remind folks, what should we be looking at when we need to talk to somebody about assessing? When you talked about legal wills, you talked about estate planning, things like that. What are things that I should be asking someone when I'm looking for that help?
Yeah, when you need some support, you need help, you need a professional, you need advice, you need When you're doing estate planning, you don't just sit down and write on the back of a napkin optimally, right? You need an attorney. Or if you have some complexity in your tax situation, you need a CPA. You need someone that really knows the ins and outs of all the ever-changing tax rules. So when you need a professional, we have the 4-H method, which I think is very helpful to keep in mind. And you're going to hire somebody, or you're going to vet people or companies that might be able to help you. You want to look for the 4 H's. And that's the head, the heart, the hands, and how. So the head is the knowledge they have, the expertise, the education they have, the credentials they have to be able to help you. The heart is that very special alignment, which I think makes or breaks a relationship financially. And that's where somebody gets you. They get what you're trying to do with your family. They get your goals. They understand the objectives and the outcome that you want. And there's an alignment there. So if you hired an attorney or an insurance professional or a financial planner that hates dogs and your life is all about dogs, there might be a point where it just doesn't fit right. It doesn't feel good. And there's just not this alignment. If you love to give money away and you have a CPA that's saying, don't do that, it's just not going to be that perfect fit. So you want to look for that alignment with values and basic philosophy about finances when you're vetting people that might be able to help you. And then the hands is how they go about their work. What is their geographic scope? What is their breadth of work? How do they communicate? Do they have a staff that can support you? Do they have the right bandwidth to technology, to take care of you the way that you want to be cared for? Do they actually pick up the phone if you prefer nose to nose meetings? Do they Zoom when you'd really prefer to be in their conference room? So how they go about doing it with their staff and with how they do their job, which brings us to the 4th H of how. What are the deliverables for you? Are you actually getting what you need? Those are the 4 H's: head, heart, hands, and how.
Awesome. I appreciate that. And also, folks, again, make sure if you're just tuning in, you watch the beginning of the show as we're covering just a great topic to kick off the year with the Copenbarger Method Roadmap. So make sure, again, take some notes. We'll get to Judy's website in a moment, but let's keep moving forward. We have B for balance. So tell us about this balance thing, right? How do we do this? Or when are we
Oh,
going to get started with that?
yeah, this is the big one. And most people go ABCDE.
Right.
It's like, let's just get it done. Let's hire somebody to get it done. B is the balance. So we've already gone through the A, assessment. What do I need? What's the gap? What's missing? What can I do to optimize? The B is, okay, well, that's great, but I don't want to overdo it. I want a hanger for my little tiny, single engine plane. I don't need a hanger for a 747, right? That would do it. I mean, I could park it in there and it would protect my airplane, but it's way more than I need. It's going to have expense. It's going to have inefficiency to it. So the B is for balance. And that means now that I know what I need, what can I afford in terms of money? And what can I afford in terms of time? And then there's a hassle factor, right? It's kind of that intangible. So what now are my options with the assessment of what's missing? What do I need to do? I need to get insurance. I need to create a will. I need to, invest in a retirement program, whatever it is. What can I afford to do with my time and with my money to start to achieve that goal? You got to do this step. Otherwise, there's inefficiencies. Well, sure, I could pay an attorney $25,000 to get a will, but that would not be maybe the most efficient. Depends on what kind of estate planning you need. But for most people, they might not need that. Most people don't need $5 million of permanent insurance, which is great for the guy that sold you the insurance policy, right? They just got a new Mercedes. But it's not so great for the person that has to pay the premium now or lose it, right? So you've got to look at what you can afford with your time, what you can afford with your money, and what makes sense efficiently. That's the B for balance.
That's awesome. And that's, folks, again, it's something that you guys really need to think about, which we don't sometimes, right? Like you said, sometimes the rush is A through E, and let's skip over B just to get it done, move forward. And I think when we rush things like that is really when we see a lot of mistakes happen too, because we're not really putting the effort, paying attention, like you said, creating that balance, right, of what we need to do too.
And that's so true. And I love that you said something about rushing, When it comes to finances, when it comes to estate planning, strategic financial planning, working out legacy and, wealth growth in a family, there's never a hurry. And I usually say if you sense any urgency at all from someone on the other side of the transaction, selling you something or getting you to invest and you got to do it right now. You've got to, the rules are going to change. You better take advantage right now. If you sense any rush or any sense of hurry from a professional, almost always you would serve yourself well to run the other way. There's never a hurry. That's when mistakes are made. That's when inefficiencies happen. And often that's where the conflicts of interest show up because someone on the other end of a transaction is urging you to get the transaction completed for whose benefit, right? Not always yours, but maybe theirs. So if there's any sense of hurry, you better take your time, hold your breath, right? And think about it before you move forward.
And I think also a lot of this, because we don't know any better, they tend to utilize a lot of these scare tactics with, again, you don't know any better. So it creates that rush and it's like, I got to do this now, or, I'm going to lose all of this or whatever it is that they normally kind of hit you with. So,
Yeah, just watch out for that. I love that point.
Yeah. So tell us about, let's move on to letter C. Tell us about the connect. What is the connect piece?
Yeah, this is the how now. So the connect is how do I get there? So let's say that you're planning on beginning an investment program for your retirement. So whether you're, out of college, just starting out, you're in your 30s and you just haven't done it yet. Quarter one might be about seeing what your options are. Maybe at work, if there's a 403B or tax sheltered annuity available or a 401k. A lot of people are familiar with 401k that companies can offer. Some kind of a retirement program or insurance package at work. Maybe there's health insurance or dental insurance or an HSA or something like that. So the first part would be to see what's available, right? Go to HR, talk to the payroll department, whoever handles that where you work, and see what your options are. And how long do you need to work there before you can take advantage of those options? And a lot of times they're cheap or free, and there's these great benefits and people just don't take the time to look or they don't know that they're there. So the C for connect would be finding out what that is and engaging with maybe sign up for something. So that's the C for connection.
Judy, you might want to repeat the last part. I think we had you on a frozen screen on the last piece of what you talked about connect on there.
Absolutely. So the C is for connection. And if the example is looking for some kind of a retirement program, maybe at work, a 401k or a 403b, or maybe there's a HSA, a health savings account, all of the options that a program, it might be signing up for something or beginning to contribute from your ordinary payroll into some kind of a program. So connect means start something happening, connect with the services that are available for you.
Great. And this actually is a great segue, folks, to talk about how to connect with Judy. So let's talk about making sure that you're following Judy at judycopenbarger.com. And if you want to stay connected, please follow her on social media as well. There is a wealth of information on her website that I'd like for you to take a moment to talk to folks about all of these great resources that are available.
Absolutely. So at judycopenbarger.com, you can find all kinds of resources. There are videos, there are articles, all kinds of helpful information in little bite-sized pieces for everything financial. So you can learn about bonds, you can learn about stock, you can learn about retirement programs that are available maybe through your work, pensions. You can learn about taxes. That's a big one. How do I pay less tax, not more tax? That's kind of a popular section. What do we do about estate planning? What's the difference between a will and a trust? And what's the difference between all the kinds of trusts? Should I have one at all? When would it make sense for me to do that? What should I pay to have something like that done? So all of this information is right there on the website. Another thing that you can do from the website is access the Money, Truth, and Life online mastery program. And that is a whole course in all 5 pillars of finance. It talks about insurances, it talks about investments, it talks about cash flows, cash reserves, estate planning, all the areas of finance, tax, right? The big one. And in every course, there are several classes that you can take online, on your cell phone or on your iPad at home to learn what you need to know about all of these areas of finance. And it's delivered to you without a conflict of interest. Nobody's trying to sell you anything. Nobody's trying to sign you up for anything. It's just good information that will help you navigate well your financial future. So that's all there for you right there on the website.
And I also want to make sure that folks understand that something that you put out this show, you put out this content. It's not because you're going to be this, you're doing this all for money and this and that. I think this also speaks to your character and your legacy that you want to leave behind. And I do want you to just take a moment to talk about your purpose for doing all of this.
Yeah, it's all this stuff is free, by the way. It's legacy for me. I've had the benefit, the honor of being front row center for family after family after family for decades, generational now. Watching families get it right, whether they're just starting out, they're getting their first job, and they want to, see what their options are at work. Now they're getting married, they've got kids, they're planning for college one day. And then the one day comes and the money's there and they're able to not stress about financing and education. They're preparing for retirement. They're building their ideal lives and they're able to take the trips they want with their grandkids and go to a dude ranch and buy them all boots and cowboy hats. They're able to have that special anniversary in Hawaii and bring everybody out there or do that cruise all together and create those memories. And I've been able to be right there in the middle of all that, helping those dreams come true for people, helping them navigate well so they don't run out of money before they run out of time. And for the families that needed to reboot, that needed to rebuild, that needed that restart, helping them navigate the right path this time. It's been such an honor to do that. And over the years, I've learned ways to communicate that help people go, oh, that's what the bears and the bulls are. Oh, that's what you mean when you talk about a mutual fund with the perfect pie and balance. That's what it means when I get a statement and it looks like I've lost money, but I really haven't lost money. It's kind of a good thing. When people understand those concepts, it's like this peace shows up, this freedom shows up. They know they're on the right path. They're very purposeful and intentional with the actions and the activities they're engaging in financially. And they have this confidence, this kind of quiet confidence. They know they're going to achieve their goals fully and on time, and they're going to get there. Like all their most important goals happen. And I get to be there and help them do that. So for me to be able to put those concepts in very tangible, bite-sized ways, you eat an elephant one bite at a time.
Right.
Finance is that way, just little bits. It's not overwhelming this way, and you can just learn a little bit and then go put that into practice and learn another little bit, and then implement that. And so this whole legacy piece for me is a way for this information that's so valuable to be accessible for anyone who wants it. Free. No, it takes a little time, doesn't take any money. And for me, it's important to do that because of the work that I've been able to do over the years. So valuable for me to be able to share.
And I appreciate you taking a moment to share that because I really believe that folks, this is the real you, and this is what they see every week. You know what I mean? And I think it goes a long way what's driving you, and it is to share that wisdom so folks have better lives and better opportunities. So I think I say this on behalf of our audience that we appreciate you and you sharing all of this talent and wisdom and your legacy, with us with that too. So. All right, so we talked about, folks, we've been talking about the Copenbarger method, the roadmap for the new year. We've talked about the A for assess, B for balance, C for connect, and now let's move on to D for delivery, right? Tell us about how do we deliver all of this?
Delivery, get it done. Get it done. D's for done as well. Yeah, that's, in the example of going to your employer, finding out what benefits are available, what retirement programs you can invest in, whatever's there, right? You connected, you found out what it was, you start to implement that. The D is delivery. So now we're implementing, we're actually contributing every paycheck. We're putting $50 or 500 or 5,000 in, right? Every month or every paycheck. We're actually doing it. Delivery might look like if you needed to create a trust or a will or some estate planning documents, maybe powers of attorney, if you need those. In business, that's a good thing to have. In a marriage, good thing to have. So delivery it's done, right? You got it connected. You found a professional. You hired the right advisor. You talked to payroll. You found an insurance agent, independent, hopefully through an FMO, to make sure that your life insurance is in place, that your health insurance is just what you need. And that's a big deal for people when they're Medicaid or Medi-Cal age. When you get to that point, or whatever it is in your state, in California, it's Medi-Cal. But when you get to that age where you might need a gap coverage for health insurance, getting the right one is key. And you want to have the right professional that's not just there to sell you a high premium thing, but you actually get the coverage that you need for you and for your family. So all of those things are key. The delivery is now you check the box, it's completed, and you have it in place. That's your D.
Awesome. And with that said, so now that we're getting towards the tail end of the ABCDEs, let's evaluate this, right? So let's talk about evaluation. What are the steps? What do we need to do? What should we be looking out for?
Yeah. Evaluate. Did I accomplish what I set out to do? So that's when, in the example of investing at work, let's say in a 401k at work, now you're doing that. You signed up for the insurances that are appropriate. You look at the end of the year and you look back and you say, did I do everything that I could to optimize? At the beginning, we did assess. Here's what I need. Here's what's missing. Here's something I could do more, better, different. So evaluating, you're looking back and you're saying, okay, I implemented something. I did something. I got a CPA. My taxes are in order now. I'm writing off things that I should write off, paying less tax. I got my will in place. Whatever it is, you evaluate and say, did I accomplish my purpose? Did I get done what I set out to do? And if not, we're right back to A, right? Okay, what needs to be done? Let's assess. And so you can see how this method, the Copenbarger method, it just cycles you around again. So you're always somewhere in the ABCDEs. You're either assessing, you're implementing, you're improving, you're fine-tuning, you're adding, maybe taking away, something you're doing that's not optimal, like that hanger, costs too much, cutting costs. So your E is evaluating. And again, some people skip letters. This is an easy one to skip because, okay, I went through all the hassle. I did the paperwork at work. Now I'm doing the thing. I can see on my pay stub, money's coming out, so I know it's going somewhere. But is it really enough? Do I have enough now between now and retirement time to meet my goal, to replace my income or to supplement my income with what I'm doing every paycheck? And the evaluation will help you answer those questions.
It's also, you mentioned earlier too, we were talking about an assessment that some folks may want to do this on a weekly basis. But I think, when you're starting this process, when you're starting this roadmap, it's also great because the more you do it, I think the more it changes your mindset. You start getting into that habit, that formation too, which is great. It's what you were talking about that. And I think that that's going to really help folks with the whole process, excuse me, of ABCDE, so yeah, I think it's fantastic. It in an overall assessment of this, or a summary for those that are just joining us, can you give us just a brief summary then of the entire process?
Sure. A, assess. What do I need? What is missing? What would make my financial life better? B, balance. What can I afford time-wise? What can I afford money-wise? What am I willing to do or give up? The hassle factor of implementing something new. C is connect. Find the resource that you need to get it done, whatever that was missing. What do I need to do to get it done? D is actually do it, implement finally. Turn on something, turn off something, engage in something, buy a policy, invest in your IRA. And then E is evaluate. Make sure that what you set out to do is done fully and on time. That's your ABCDEs.
Awesome. And folks, it wouldn't be a money truth moment, of course, without a money truth. Money truth challenge time, right?
Challenge. All right. Time for pen and paper.
All
so
right.
What I really want you to do is think about the 5 pillars of finance and then go through the ABCs with that. So you have choices. You have the investments, you have taxation, you have legacy and legal, that's your estate planning, you have insurances, and you have cash flow and cash reserves. Those are the 5 pillars of finance. So the first part of your challenge is to identify one of those where you feel you have the biggest gap or where you can gain the most. So go through the ABCDEs: assess, balance, connect, deliver, and evaluate. And just write down what those things might look like for this new year. What do I need to do? Who do I need to talk to? How will I get the most bang for my buck by implementing something, one of these areas? And then number 3 is always do it, right? Nike, just do it. So start the process, go through the balance and connect, and then find the way to get delivery done. And that is your challenge.
What a great challenge. Folks, if you're up for it, make sure that you also share your responses with us, with the chat as well, too. And Judy, let me ask you this. So we talked about the ABC method. Can folks get a hold of this, or where can folks get a hold of this?
Absolutely. If you want to message me in chat, we will make sure we get your email. We can get this out to you so you can use this at home, use it as a reference, share it with others. It's a great, very simple, not easy, but very simple method that you can use for any area of life, but particularly it's very applicable to finance. So just message me in chat. We'll get it out to you.
Awesome. And you heard that, folks. Please make sure you leave your information, contact information on a private message to Judy, or send it to the show as well, too. We make sure that we get that right out there. Well, we're at the tail end of the show. For those of you guys joining us today, we talked about the ABCDEs of the Copenbarger method. So you guys need to watch the beginning of the show, share it out. A lot of great information for you to kick off the year. Judy, any last parting words?
No, just implement. Use your ABCDEs and implement. Make it a great week.
Awesome. And remember, we're here Tuesday mornings at 8 a.m. And follow Judy at judycopenbarger.com. Wealth of free resources. Her social media is on there as well, too. So make sure you stay connected, folks. Until next week, that's the end of our show. Talk to you later.